Hi, my name's Jill and thank you very much for buying one of my beaded bauble kits. I'm now going to go through some instructions with you showing you how to make it. So at the end you'll end up with this gorgeous Christmas bauble. All my designs are different colours and patterns, but the process is the same for every bauble. So I'll be demonstrating this with the sleigh and snowman bauble. The box contains everything you need to make the bauble: a beading mat, beads, needle, thread, bauble and a ribbon. The first thing you need to do is measure out approximately 125 centimetres of thread and then secure the stopper bead, leaving at least 12 centimetres at the end. You secure the stopper bead by looping the thread through the bead 2 or 3 times, and it should look like this. Once you have put the stopper bead on the thread, you need to thread on your first 14 beads, and for this particular pattern it's a gold, white, 4 blue, another gold, 6 blue and a gold. Use the needle to pick up the beads in the correct order, following the instructions for your particular design. Thread them all the way down to the stopper bead so it will look like this. You're now adding the third row of beads. Thread on the gold and go through the blue. Next, thread on a blue, miss a bead and go through the next blue. Then thread on a blue, miss a bead and go through the next blue. Carry on with the next 4 beads, the 2 gold, the 1 blue and the 1 black, missing a bead each time. It should now look like the photograph on the instruction sheet. You then keep moving along the design. It now becomes easier to see which bead you pass the thread through as it's sticking out. I tend to lay a ruler over the design and move it along a row of beads at a time so I can see where I am. At some point you will start running out of thread, so before it gets too short you need to secure it back down the end of the panel. To do this, weave the thread through random beads in the panel several times and then take it to the reverse of the panel and snip it off as close to the panel as possible. Now you need to cut another length of thread, again approximately 125 centimetres. To secure it to the panel, thread it through a few random beads, zigzagging up the panel. Make sure to pull the tail of the thread into the panel so it is hidden, but don't pull it too tight or else it could come out. Finish weaving the thread through several random beads, zigzagging towards the point where you ran out of thread so you can resume the pattern. When you finish the pattern, it should look like this. But to do the tassel beads, we need to take the thread all the way to the bottom to the corner of the gold bead. It's now time to add the tassel beads, so pull these onto your beading mat and organise them into piles. Follow the instructions to load the first set of 8 beads onto your needle. In my pattern, this is a blue, gold, gold bugle, gold, gold, gold bugle, gold and blue. Count 8 beads along the bottom of the panel and thread through the 8th bead to create a triangle shape. To secure it in place, you then need to go into the row above and to the bead slightly to the right, back down the bead to the left and then back through the original bead on the bottom row. You then need to load up the next 7 beads from your particular pattern to form the next triangle and secure it in the same way. Work your way along the panel until you have 7 triangles. Before we can finish the 8th and last triangle, we need to sew the panel together. So you need to unpick your stopper bead and use that thread to sew it together. When you put it together into a circle, you can see it matches up nicely. You need to sew it together up the panel and then back down so it's securely in place. You can then finish the final triangle. Once you've finished the final triangle, you need to pass the thread back down through the beads and out to the point of the triangle where you're ready to start your first tassel. Start by adding the small crystal bead, then your small bead, your bugle bead, another small bead, another bugle bead, then your small bead, then add the rest of the tassel beads, following the pattern shown in your instructions or whichever order you like best. At the end of the tassel, add 1 small bead and then loop back through all the beads towards the top of the tassel. When you've passed the thread through the bottom bugle bead, add another small bead, bugle bead, and another small crystal bead. This should make a Y shape. Thread this into the tip of the next triangle and then take it across and back down into the next triangle where you can begin the next tassel. Repeat this process until you have 4 tassels. Once the tassels have done, we need to thread the thread back up to the top of the panel, ready to do the netting. At this point, you fit the panel around the bauble like so. We are now ready to put the netting in place to hold the panel onto the bauble. Follow the pattern listed in your instructions for your design. Thread the first set of beads on and count 7 beads along the top of the panel. Go down the 7th bead and up the 8th bead. Repeat this process all the way around to create 8 triangles. When you've completed the 8th triangle, pass the thread back up to the tip of the triangle and out the coloured bead to start the next layer of netting. Thread the 5 beads listed on your instruction sheet onto your needle, then pass it through the coloured bead at the tip of your next triangle. Repeat this step all the way around the bauble, keeping the thread quite taut. For the final layer of netting, load the beads and once again pass through each coloured bead round the bauble to fasten this layer of netting. You now need to secure the loose end of the thread by passing it round the top netting layer once more and then back down through the netting beads until you reach the panel. Pass the thread through the panel until the bottom and then finally snip off the end. And there you have it, your complete bauble. You can now attach the ribbon and hang it up.